Welcome back to another edition of Talking in Translation. I'm Chris Peterkin, and to my left is my co-host, Rhonda Farmer.
Talking in Translation attempts to get men and women on the same playing field by directly addressing the topics and issues that cause us to fight like cats and dogs. And even though sometimes trying to communicate with one another is like trying to get apples to understand oranges, Talking in Translation looks to destroy language barriers.
With us today, we have two guests. First, we have Avon Banks, a UNCP biology major. Then we have Shonda Hester, a UNCP business student. Welcome, guys.
Welcome. Now, let's get into our first topic. Why do women and men struggle to communicate? Ladies first. I'll start with you.
Well, I feel like women try to suggest that there are things that's neat, and guys don't want to listen to females because they feel like they're nagging and complaining about something which they should take heed of what they're saying, because sometimes it kind of can help them in some areas where they might go wrong, steer in the wrong direction or making a choice or some kind of way, and then they wonder, how did we get in the situation?
I believe it's just comes down to the difference in how we communicate to each other. Men, we're pretty much straightforward. Females, for some reason, they feel like they have to include every little detail. The details that most of us men feel are unnecessary. That's why a lot of times when women are talking to men, men kind of zone out, start paying attention to the TV instead of actually paying attention to the words that they're saying. Because at that moment, the words that they're saying really don't interest the men.
You had another comment to make.
Which I did. The little small things that y'all made. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
The little small things that you ignore, maybe the small thing that might help you not to fall in that bad state or making that bad situation. So it's good that men pay attention to what women say, because we observe things more than what a man would. They try to make it think that things are going to come easy, as which women, we view things and we try to look further in the future, which men kind of look at the here and now.
She made some really good points. What do you feel about that?
Basically, let's use this for example. Pretty much you went all around the bush talking about the differences and, the details that are looking into the future. But your main point was pretty much what exactly?
That women are the ones that really concerned. They're more, their purpose is basically caring about their family. They'll see the better off. Well, guys are too, but most time y'all are just about self and women are about.
No, we're not about self. I think the difference, take for instance, a man adds 1 + 1 and that equals 2. A woman adds 1 + 1 that equals 2, times it by 2, and then divides it by 2 to get it back to 1, and then add by 1 to make it 2. See the difference in the pathway right there? We was pretty simple with it. Y'all beat around the bush and keep on going along and stringing along with the details that aren't necessary. And that just really doesn't play on the ears of most men because we're more direct than that.
Looking back at our last show, being direct was one of the issues that the guys did stress and reiterate. So directness is one of the things that I guess men want to communicate and convey when they're talking or communicating with their woman. And I did also reiterate last time in our last show that we had that men are the avenue. You are our outlet. So we talk to you to try to get things through, to convey, to understand. What do you feel about that?
Depending on the situation, most men do realize and they are sensitive to certain females given situations. If it's something that that is really stressing out the woman that you're with, that's a situation where most men will go ahead and pay attention or lend you their ear. But if it's something as simple as, what happened today at work, the day-by-day situations, you're talking about, your coworker or your best friend, or you're talking about, the babysitter who left something, you know what I'm saying? Those kind of situations are the situations where we have selective hearing.
Okay.
Well, we actually have some quotes. Well, quotes from the book, Men Are From Mars and Women From Venus by Dr. John Gray. And one point is men and women seldom mean the same things even when they use the same words. Another point is the biggest challenge for women is to correctly interpret and support a man when he isn't talking. Third one is men argue for the right to be free while women argue for the right to be upset. And one final one, men want space while women want understanding. So how do you feel about those topics, those points?
Going off of the first one you said where you were speaking on men and women seldom mean the same thing even when they are, using the same words. A lot of that goes into probably the body language or the tone of voice. You know, sometimes a man will be like, oh, okay, you know, and that's just as simple as that. Oh, okay, I understand. That's what we're saying. And that's what our tone and our body language gives off. A woman, on the other hand, they'll go on to the point and be like, oh, roll your neck, snap your fingers, and whatever, you know, mannerisms they want to add. And then they'll be like, okay.
Not all women, though. Not all women.
Okay, but each woman has their gesture. You know what I'm saying? They have their way of expressing it. And that body language right there is telling the man something different than what the man is telling her. If you want to go as far as men asking for space and women for understanding, I can understand that in the sense of, say, the conversation, you know, they're talking and she's just trying to get the man to understand, you know, what she's saying. But like I said previously, you know, women talking in circles, you know, that will cause somebody to want to step back and like really kind of get away for a moment, because those circles can last a couple hours given that person. So.
Also, I agree on that with you. But okay, this person, right? I agree with that. Well, what you were saying about giving men a space. I mean, because sometimes women can come off at their, you know, with their mouth, but it depends on the woman. Not all women are the type of woman that will come at you in the wrong way. Maybe they have an issue. Sometimes it's good to listen, because you never know. This woman may be trying to stress an issue that may be really going on, or she may feel a certain type of way. She may encounter something that day, and she may feel low in her spirit, may feel low or depressed, or something with her friends or whatever. So it's good that you take heed to what she's trying to say, or if she's stressing it, put more emphasis on it.
Okay, well, we're going to be switching topics now. We're talking about male dominance. Famous James Brown song, "Is It a Man's World?" Dominant male, as described by Graham Phoenix. Dominant male, a man who uses his physical and mental power to rule over others. They mostly dominate women and try to control everyone and everything in their environment. Nature has given men a physical advantage over women. Some use it to force women to do what they want. This behavior provides them with a sense of power and security. It is the stress of survival in a hostile environment that causes the development of male dominance. The strong dominant position of men has been successfully challenged by feminists. Some men are under the misconception that they are in competition with women, and they feel they are trying to emasculate them. And modern women are perfectly capable of doing much of what men are doing. Basically, if you can do this, I can do this better, do that better kind of mentality. So what do you feel about that?
Well, I won't go and knock women off of the pedestal as far as, you know, being able to do certain jobs or certain activities that men do, because there are females that are actually out there and doing those jobs and doing them better than men, to my understanding. So I can't knock them for that. But when you go as far as saying it's a man's world, and you have to look at it from a logical standpoint, most of the leaders in most countries are males. Most of the inventors, most of the scientists that have come up with different tools that we use in medicine today, or different technologies that we use today, are males. Groundbreaking records in sports, males. Now, don't get me wrong, females are coming up in all aspects of that too, but to sit there and say that, oh, you know, it's on an equal playing field, I just don't see that. I don't see that at all, because everything's already been slanted towards us from our achievements from the past to up to now.
So you actually kind of ran into one of the questions down here at the bottom. It says, in the future, will men continue to dominate, or will it be the turn for the women?
That's a difficult question.
I mean, you kind of.
No, that's a difficult question.
Well, how do you feel about it?
Well, for me, in my aspect, I feel like, you know, yeah, the world has been more dominated towards men. But now if you look at it like Michelle Obama, for instance, how she's coming up, how, yeah, she has a strong man beside her, but yet she's her own individual. And when she speaks, you know, for the country, and she wants to see, you know, she wants to see change as well. But now you have people that's suggesting that she needs to run for office in the term of her husband. A lot of people want her husband out of the chair, but now versus her, they want her to run for, like, far as not presidential, but some type of election, some type of spot there. Whatever.
Let me ask you a question. If Barack wasn't the president, do you think they would be pushing for her to be the president? Just curious. Just curious.
Well, no, because he actually made a way for her. Like, he was kind of, he gave her the platform.
Okay.
Because she had to speak for her husband.
So what about, let's say, between the differences between like a Bill Clinton and a Hillary Clinton, how they push for that? Did they push more for Bill Clinton or did they push more for Hillary Clinton?
Well, they pushed more for Bill, but now Hillary is in office, though.
I mean, she is in office, but
And she's doing her thing.
She's doing her thing. I don't knock her for doing that. But see, this is what I'm getting at when I'm sitting there beating around the bush. They were given the opportunity because there was a man that came and made a way for them. So therefore, I think that further solidifies my argument for male dominance in society. These women are able to do that because either somebody they're with or somebody that they're related to made a way for them. And the man that's probably sitting there has probably already established it for another man or for somebody else to come through. But just saying the man came first.
Yes, and that's how it was always tended. But see, sometimes man can lose his way, and then he want to blame the woman. As just like, think about the Bible. Eve, when Adam fell, but God gave him instructions, it goes back to say, okay, this woman that you gave me. But it was really, if he took heed and said, really, it wasn't her fault, it was his fault because he sinned because God gave him instructions to do.
I mean, it's kind of hard to say no when you have a naked woman standing with an apple in your hands, just throwing it out there.
But they didn't see the nakedness. They
They
didn't see the
didn't
nakedness.
at the time.
It wasn't until after the sin had transpired, and then
Just
they saw
saying.
themselves.
It's kind of hard to say no to that. Just saying.
I just want to throw that in there.
Okay, all right, good point.
So guys make mistakes, but women still always